Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Crazy D's Equipment. Welcome back to another one of the Q&A Saturday episodes. Hey, on the community page I put out a thing asking guys for some ideas for the next video, and Mike Brown asked me what I thought about the D17 and the 780 Allis. And unfortunately, Mike, I don't know anything about the 780 Allis, but I do know a little bit about the D Series Allises. So today we're going to go over that. So we're going to kind of go over the D Series here. So the thing about the D Series tractor is it was probably the most popular series that Allis Chalmers ever sold. They came out in the late 50s. I think 57 is when they started with them, and at that point in time I think Allis Chalmers was pretty much just making the WD-45. I think that was pretty much the only tractor that they were producing. So this was Allis Chalmers' push to get into a larger range of tractors and stuff. I mean, Allis was big in the 50s, and they were big all the way up until the 70s when they really started to decline. But the D Series of tractors contains, you have the D10, you have the D12, you have the D14, 15, the D17, the D19, and then the big boy of the group, the D21. So let's go over each of those a little bit. So the two babies in the group is the D10 and the D12. The D10 was made to replace the B and the CA. The thing about the D10 is I believe it does not have an adjustable front end. This tractor in front of us right now, or in front of me right now, is a D12, and the D10 is a little shorter and it doesn't have that adjustable front end. They made those tractors, those two, they made the D10 from 1959 to 1967. They were 28 horsepower, and then we'll move over into the D12. The D12, which I said is pretty much, like I said, just like the D10, but they made the D12 from 59 to 68. So one more year. And the only difference between the two tractors is, like I said, the 12 is longer, and the front end is adjustable on it. The next tractor up in size would have been the D14, and the D14 was the first one of the series released, and it was made from 57 to 1960. In 1960 it was replaced by the D15, but we'll go into that in a minute. The D14 was about 37 horsepower. It came in gas or diesel or propane. You mostly find the gas and diesel versions. There are a few of the propanes out there, but according to what I was reading, production numbers of the gasoline tractor was more than the other two. You do find the diesels around. Now, they were a really good tractor, but farmers were complaining that they were a little bit underpowered for their size. And so, which is kind of a running joke that you'll find about Allis Chalmers, is they're good tractors, just a little underpowered for their size. Well, in the D14's case, it was true. So they came out with the D15. They followed it up in 1960, and they ran that one all the way to 69. And it was the same horsepower, but it had a higher compression engine in it, and it had so it gave it more torque. So it was a better pulling tractor. And they came in the same thing. They came in all series, like all the rest of the series, but for a couple of them, it came in all fuel styles. So gas, LP or liquid propane, and diesel. That one there is actually, according to the information that I was reading on them, and double checking some of the stuff I know about them, the diesels were made, they made more of the diesels than the gas, but only by like a few hundred. So you find a lot of gas, you find a lot of diesels, you don't find so many of the propane, but they are out there and I have seen a few. Then you have the D17, and I believe, Mike, Mr. Brown, that's the tractor you have and that you were asking me about. And the D17 is a really good tractor. I have had quite a few of them come through my lot, and I highly recommend them. They're just all around a good tractor, and something else we'll talk about on the D series is the operating station here in a minute. But I really like how for some work, you're kind of slumped down in this operator area instead of up in the air, and that's pretty comfortable position for a lot of field work. There are some things where you're kind of like, I wish I was a little higher up, but not so much on that one. But the D17, it was made from 57 to 69. I believe it is a 55 horsepower tractor or a 50 horsepower tractor in that thing, in that ballpark. They're a great tractor. They're one of the few that didn't have problems in the initial design in some way or the other, but all around pretty decent tractor. Then you get into the D19, and the D19 was, for a while, the big boy of the thing. It was a 71 horsepower tractor. The D19 was built from 61 to 69. There's not a much difference in looks between any of these series, but the D19 did have, in the early years, had some engine problems, and believe it was like a camshaft that was always breaking. And our local dealership up here, Allis dealership, if you go in there and the wife of the original owner, if she's in there like she is sometimes, she will stop. If you're in there to get parts for a D19, she will stop you and you will be stuck there for 30 minutes or more while she tells you the story how the D19 almost put them out of business. So, but overall, besides that, after you got in the later series of them, towards the end of them, they got that problem fixed, and they were a good tractor, good heavy tractor, but they weren't big enough. And a lot of Allis Chalmers customers were complaining, hey, we need a big workhorse. We live out here in western Kansas, we live out here in the plains of Canada or Montana, or up north in the great wheat states, like where I'm at, and we would like to have a big workhorse. And you're not being able to offer a tractor that we can use for our farming operation. So Allis Chalmers guys came out with the D21. Now, it's probably the most sought after tractor in this series, and there are a couple of them that have been done up for the tractor pooling for the modified series, and they're pretty impressive. They've done really, really well for themselves. If any of these tractors of this entire series value has increased, the D21 has. You used to be able to 10, 15, 20 years ago go to an auction, there'd be a D21 on it, and you'd be able to pick up that D21 for $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000. You go to an auction now and try to buy a D21, you better brought the big checkbook, because it's going to bring somewhere between $10,000 to $12,000. So, depending on condition, I mean, it could bring a little less, but I think one of Machinery Pete's videos, he talks about one selling, and I believe it brought like $60,000 or $70,000, but it was one that like had hardly any hours on it. It was like all original, and the paint was original, and it looked new, and it brought like some crazy money. So those D21s are just a very sought after, very high quality tractor, or a very good tractor, monster beast. And I tell you what, of all the Allis Chalmers out there, besides you, I've always kind of wanted an Allis U, but besides of all the Allises out there, that would be one that's on my list I would love to own. I would love to own a D21. I've never had a D21 come across the lot, and I very much would like to have a D21 someday. At least get to drive one once, I don't know. But it was a 100 horsepower tractor, which for its period of time, that's a pretty big boy. The only tractors in that size that rivaled it in any way would have been Towards the end there, the 1030 case would have been in that ballpark. John Deere 6020 or 5020, I mean, would have been in that ballpark in there. And the international escaping my mind. I can't think of it, but I know there's an international one that's in that ballpark. I think the Oliver 24 something is in that ballpark, would be in that same time frame and stuff. But and then I believe the GV or GI 1000 Minneapolis Moline would have been in that ballpark there. So, but as overall, as you kind of go over these tractors, Allis was really trying to get there where they had a tractor for every need on the farm, and they really did well with the D Series tractors. Like I was talking about the operating station, they got you low down, they got all your controls right here as you need them. They came in all forms of fuel. The later ones had 3-point. The earlier ones had the Allis Chalmers quick coupler system. But that's kind of they were good tractors. They're highly tractors, and they're on my list of recommended tractors if you're looking for something for a certain amount of acres. I believe the D14 or D15, either or, almost the same tractor. I recommend if you have small acreage and you're looking for a good, liable tractor and a decent price, that would be one that I would highly recommend. So, but anyways, guys, so that's just kind of the D Series. So I just want to again say thank you guys for coming in. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't hit the bell icon, for the love of God, hit the bell icon. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media pages, you have the 2 Facebook pages, Omega Ag Equipment Sales and Crazy D's Facebook page, and then we still have the Crazy D Instagram. So guys, come check that out. And once again, that's thank you for coming in. That's Allis Chalmers for you. I'll see you Wednesday.